politics go. But I'm not surprised because we're talking about a society whose main democratic practice, the most sacred democratic practice, is going to the polls. This is a society who has never failed. I mean, come rain or shine, would turn out 80% at election ballots. This is even, I mean, Turkey has never been a perfect democracy, but there is also always this chance of saying what you want at a ballot box since, I think, 1946, since the multi-party system was initiated in Turkey. But we can also go back to the modern initiation of Turkish state, which is Ottoman Empire's, Tanzimat era. So this practice is something Turkish people from all across all walks of life and in the political spectrum is very sacred. And we've seen that hijacked in broad daylight last week. So I am not surprised that the wall of fear has cracked and people are on the street.
I mean, we have seen the government coming down hard on protesters, over 1,000 arrests in the last few days. Is this an indication of how much pressure President Erdoğan is under?
Well, I mean, this is an interesting miscalculation, or let me just say it's not a miscalculation because, I mean, it would be obvious to anyone with any, rational thinking and calculation that if you imprison an already very popular politician on very vague and abstract charges, you would get a backlash. What I think Erdoğan trusts is the climate of impunity. I mean, I think he has this very callous and simple calculation that if, for example, in the world there is someone like Trump who is mimicking his playbook of authoritarianism, demonizing opposition, it's his opponents there in the United States. I mean, Europe in a miasma of, they're being threatened by the US. And, we also have a pure impunity for someone who kills and kills Palestinians, on the verge of, we see a settler colonial genocide there, and Netanyahu is still not a political pariah. So the thinking should be that I'm imprisoning my political opponent who would say anything to me when I'm also very influential in Syria, and do you know the story.
Do you think that sort of thinking is backfiring then when you see the sheer number of people out on the streets?
I mean, at this point, that calculation is. I mean, that calculation worked right before he decided to arrest Istanbul's mayor and his colleagues. Right now, I mean, Turkey is a very high capacity undemocratic state, which means high on repression, which means and also weak on civil rights. So it is in the Turkish state's DNA to repress and use riot police, and riot police use arrests and tear gas and everything liberally. But we have never seen this level of a crackdown, even under military juntas in 1980s and so forth. So, and I don't think it's going to get better before it. I mean, it's going to get better soon.
What is your sense of what is going to happen next? Because as you described those Gezi protests in 2013, I mean, President Erdoğan has faced tides of opposition before, but he still has plenty of loyal supporters, and he manages to always get back on his feet, if you like. So how do you see this sort of? How do you see this going, really?
Well, the thing is, I wish I could say that things will improve soon, but I fear repression will go only tighten, and mass arrests. We're expecting mass arrests to continue, and that's the road we're on. But here's what's clear: Erdoğan may hold power, but he's lost something very, very vital to him: his legitimacy and the optics and his popularity. You have to realize the AKP electorate is not monolithic, it's not a different species, and they're not fixed. I think it would be really, really, a mistake to think that AKP electorate is happy with where the country is heading, because let's be clear, the cost of living is at records high, and they are not happy with how the civil liberties are repressed, how the political space is squeezed outside a small elite, businessmen, MPs, advisors. The clientelist network that feeds on the party state. The base is disillusioned. I think Erdoğan is now scraping the bottom in terms of popularity. He can rule like President Sisi or Kais Saied, like he wants those politicians he once denounced. But that doesn't mean that there is this political democratic facade anymore. I think what had started as a Turkish model that was marketed to the Arab world since Arab uprisings has just collapsed. No
Right.
prosperity, no strategic thinking, no intellectual clout. Only the neoliberal convergence of Muslim politics and is there.
Ezgi, really interesting to get your perspective on this. Ezgi Basaran, a political scientist, joining us there from Oxford in the United Kingdom.